When I walked into that shelter, I didn't expect to make a decision that would cost me my marriage. But as I knelt in front of that frail old dog, I knew one thing: she needed me. And maybe I needed her too. Greg and I had been trying to fill the quiet in our marriage for years. We'd been together for over a decade, but after every doctor's visit, every test confirmed what we already feared. No, you can't have children. We had reached a point where Greg and I stopped talking about it. Still, the sadness settled between us like an unwanted guest. We moved around each other, side by side but miles apart, both of us trying to pretend we weren't breaking. Then one evening, as we sat across from each other in the dim glow of our kitchen, I said, "Maybe we should get a dog." Greg looked up from his plate, unimpressed. "A dog! Something to love," I said softly. "Something to fill the silence." He exhaled, shaking his head. "Fine, but I'm not dealing with some yappy little thing." That's how we ended up at the local shelter. The moment we walked in, chaos greeted us. Dozens of dogs barking, tails thumping, paws scratching at their cages. They all wanted attention. All but one. In the farthest kennel, curled in the shadows, was Maggie. She didn't make a sound. Her frail body barely stirred as I knelt beside the bars. Her fur was patchy, her ribs visible, and her graying muzzle rested on her paws as if she had already accepted her fate. The tag on her door made my chest tighten. Senior dog, 12 years old, health issues, hospice adoption only. I felt Greg stiffen beside me. "Oh, come on," he scoffed. "We're not taking that one." But I couldn't look away. Her tired brown eyes met mine, and her tail gave the faintest wag. "This one," I whispered. Greg's voice was sharp. "You're kidding, right? Clara, that dog is already halfway in the grave. She needs us. She needs a vet and a miracle," he shot back. "Not a home." I turned to face him fully. "I can make her happy." Greg let out a bitter laugh. "You bring her home, I'm leaving. I'm not going to sit here and watch you obsess over a dying dog. That's pathetic." I was stunned. "You don't mean that." "I do," he said coldly. "It's her or me." I didn't hesitate. Greg was already packing his bags when I carried Maggie home. As we entered, she hesitated in the doorway, her frail body trembling as she took in her new surroundings. Her paws clicked softly against the hardwood floor, and she glanced up at me as if asking, "Is this really mine?" "It's okay," I whispered, kneeling beside her. "We'll figure it out." Greg stormed past us, dragging his suitcase behind him. "You've lost it, Clara." His voice was sharp, but there was something else underneath, something almost desperate. "You're throwing everything away for that dog?" I didn't answer. What was there to say? His hand hovered on the doorknob for a moment, waiting for me to stop him, waiting for me to say, "You're right, come back." Instead, I reached for Maggie's leash and unclipped it. Greg let out a humorless laugh. Unbelievable. And then he was gone. The door slammed, and the house fell silent again. But for the first time, the quiet didn't feel so empty. The first few weeks were brutal. Maggie was weak, and some days, she barely touched her food. I spent hours researching homemade meals, blending up soft foods, and coaxing her to eat with gentle whispers and patience. I massaged her aching joints, wrapped her in blankets, and let her sleep curled up beside me on the couch. Meanwhile, the reality of my marriage unraveling hit like a slow-moving train wreck. When the divorce papers arrived, I laughed at first. A bitter, disbelieving laugh. He's actually serious. Then I cried. But Maggie was there. She'd nuzzle my hand when I sobbed into my coffee, and rest her head on my lap when the house felt too big. And over time, something shifted. She started eating more, and her fur, once dull and patchy, grew shinier. And one morning, as I reached for her leash, she wagged her tail. "Feel like a walk today?" I asked. She let out a soft woof, the first I'd ever heard from her. For the first time in months, I smiled. We were healing. Together. 6 months later, I was stepping out of a bookstore, coffee in one hand and a novel in the other, when I nearly collided with someone. "Clara!" A familiar voice drawled. I froze. Greg. He stood there, smirking like he'd been waiting for this moment. Dressed too well for a casual outing, his shirt crisp, his watch gleaming. He looked me up and down like he was sizing up my life's decisions in one glance. "Still all alone?" he asked, his tone dripping with fake pity. "How's that dog of yours?" There was something sharp beneath his words, a cruelty that made my stomach twist. I responded calmly, "Maggie." "Yes, Maggie." He crossed his arms. "Let me guess. She's gone, isn't she? All that effort for a dog that barely lasted a few months. Was it worth it?" I stared at him, stunned, not by his audacity, but by how little of a person he had become to me. "You don't have to be so heartless, Greg." He shrugged. "I'm just being realistic. You gave up everything for that dog. Look at you now. Alone, miserable. But hey, at least you got to play hero, right?" I exhaled slowly, gripping my coffee just to keep my hand steady. "What are you even doing here, Greg?" "Oh, I'm meeting someone." His smirk widened, but I couldn't resist saying hello. "You know, you were so obsessed with that dog that you didn't even notice what I'd been hiding from you." A cold weight settled in my chest. "What are you talking about?" His smirk deepened. "Let's just say I wasn't exactly heartbroken when you picked the dog that day. Things had been over for a while. That was just a convenient exit." Before I could respond, a woman walked up beside him. Young, stunning, the kind of effortlessly beautiful that made my breath hitch. She slipped her arm through his without hesitation, tilting her head at me like I was a passing curiosity. The ground felt like it had shifted beneath me. But before I could process the sting, a familiar voice cut through the moment. "Hey, Clara. Sorry I'm late." Greg's smirk faded. His eyes flickered past me. I turned, and suddenly, I wasn't the one caught off guard. There was Mark. He walked up, effortlessly slipping into the moment like he belonged there. In one hand, he held a cup of coffee. In the other, Maggie's leash. She was no longer the frail, broken dog I had carried out of the shelter all those months ago. Her fur gleamed in the sunlight, her eyes sparkled with life, and her tail wagged furiously as she bounded toward me. Mark handed me my coffee with a smile, then leaned to plant a kiss on my cheek. Greg's jaw dropped. "Wait, that's Maggie," I said, scratching behind her ears as she leaned into me. "She's not going anywhere." Greg blinked, his mouth opening and closing like he was trying to find words that wouldn't come. "But how is she?" "She's thriving," I said, standing up. "Turns out, all she needed was love and care. Funny how that works, isn't it?" I could see it in his face, the disbelief, the struggle to process the reality standing in front of him. The dog he had written off as a lost cause was alive and happy. And so was I. Mark, unfazed by the tension, handed me the leash. "Ready to head to the park?" he asked, his voice light, his eyes only on me. Greg's expression darkened as he glared between the two of us. His pride was wounded, and his control over the narrative slipped. "This is ridiculous," he muttered. "You're right," I said, meeting his gaze without flinching. "What's ridiculous is you thinking I'd regret letting you go." His face twisted with anger, but I didn't care. He immediately stormed off, his new girlfriend trailing behind him, but I didn't watch them go. Instead, I turned to Mark, squeezing his hand as Maggie leaned into my leg, her tail thumping happily. "Ready?" he asked, nodding toward the park. I smiled. More than ever. 6 months later, we were back at that same park, but this time, everything felt different. The sun dipped low, casting golden light over the picnic blanket where Mark and I sat. Maggie trotted toward me, something tied to her collar. I frowned. "Maggie, what's this?" Mark grinned. "Why don't you check?" I untied the tiny box, my fingers trembling. Before I could process it, Mark was on one knee. "Clara," he said softly, "will you marry me?" I glanced at Maggie, who wagged her tail like she had been planning this moment herself. I laughed through my tears. Of course. A rescue dog came home with us, bringing joy and excitement, until the unthinkable happened. The next night, my 8-year-old son was gone.